In 2022, Singapore introduced Divorce by Mutual Agreement, or DMA. This no-fault option allows couples to divorce without blaming each other. This amendment to the Women's Charter took effect in 2024, allowing for a more amicable divorce process. Unlike the previous system, which required proving fault through reasons such as adultery or unreasonable behavior, DMA allows couples to mutually agree that their marriage has broken down irretrievably. Couples then file for divorce jointly and must resolve critical issues such as child custody, maintenance, and the division of assets before heading to court. Some key benefits of the DMA include the following: no blame. Neither party has to be at fault, avoiding accusations and hostility. Collaboration. Couples work together to settle issues before going to court, thereby reducing confrontation. Therapeutic justice. This process emphasizes cooperation and focuses on the family's long-term well-being, particularly for children. Less stress. Without the need for blame, divorce is also less emotionally taxing, especially for families with children. So why does the DMA matter? DMA now offers a less adversarial process. It encourages cooperative decision-making and smoother co-parenting. The previous fault-based system often heightened tension, but DMA now allows couples to work together towards a more peaceful resolution. DMA is a progressive addition to Singapore's family law, helping couples to divorce more peacefully. Removing the need for blame and promoting collaboration also makes the process less stressful and more respectful for everyone involved. An uncontested divorce happens when both spouses agree on all the critical aspects of the divorce before they apply to the court. This includes issues such as child custody, maintenance, and the division of assets. Couples avoid needing a court trial to settle their differences by reaching an agreement beforehand. This approach saves time, legal fees, and reduces stress by keeping things amicable. Uncontested divorces are a much smoother process, and more importantly, they help minimize conflict. Couples who agree on everything beforehand experience less emotional strain, making the transition easier for everyone involved, including children. It also ensures a smoother adjustment to post-divorce life with less friction between ex-spouses. So, when is a typical situation when you can consider getting an uncontested divorce? Well, most couples without children or complex assets usually approach the divorce as an uncontested process. For those who don't share children or significant assets, it's much easier to agree everything. A contested divorce is the likely outcome for couples who cannot agree on significant issues. These cases tend to be more complicated, time-consuming, and also more expensive. Both parties must typically hire their own lawyers for legal advice, negotiations, as well as representation in court. It's important to know that in a contested divorce, each spouse must have their own lawyer, typically to avoid any conflict of interest. While a spouse can choose to represent themselves, their partner's lawyer cannot advise them. So here are some essential tips that you should know. Try to reach an agreement with your spouse before filing for divorce. This saves you time, money, and emotional stress. If you can't agree on everything, seek legal advice early to help guide you towards a fair settlement. Is a lawyer actually needed in an uncontested divorce? If your divorce is simple, for example, if you don't have children or significant assets to divide, you might be able to handle the process independently. This works best for couples who can communicate effectively and come to an agreement on their own. Think of it like a minor DIY home project where you don't need a professional to guide you. If you agree, preparing and filing all the necessary paperwork by yourself is possible. However, things sometimes get more complicated if children are involved, if you have assets to divide, or if you're unsure of your rights. In such a situation, getting help from a family lawyer who specializes in divorce is much wiser. They can then give you professional advice on important aspects of your case, such as child custody and support, monthly maintenance for the children or for the spouse, as well as dividing matrimonial assets. You could make costly mistakes or get an unfair deal without proper legal advice. Imagine this is like an extensive home renovation. While you can manage a straightforward project yourself, much more complex tasks require an expert to help you avoid potential pitfalls. A lawyer helps to ensure the process is smooth and protects your rights, reducing stress as well as uncertainty. While many couples start with the intention of having an uncontested divorce, things can change quickly. Without proper guidance or advice, disagreements might arise, turning what should have been a straightforward process into a contested divorce. If you and your spouse have several issues to resolve but still want to avoid a trial, seeking legal advice early can help you both navigate negotiations successfully. Hiring a family lawyer with experience in collaborative divorce can also be beneficial for couples who want to resolve things amicably but need assistance. In this approach, both parties work with their lawyers to find solutions without going through the court system or trial. A lawyer helps with negotiations and provides legal advice, allowing couples to reach a fair settlement while maintaining a respectful and cooperative process. A contested divorce happens when a couple cannot agree on certain aspects of their divorce. This may involve disagreements over the grounds for divorce, child custody, asset division, or monthly maintenance. Sometimes one spouse may refuse to respond, forcing the other spouse to proceed without mutual agreement. When this occurs, the divorce becomes a contested process where both parties must prove their own claims in court. So what exactly happens in a contested divorce? There's active disagreement. If spouses disagree on significant issues, they must present evidence and witnesses to support their claims. Each party will then work to prove their own position in court. There's also non-response. If one spouse refuses to participate, the other must still prove their case to the court, even without the non-responding spouse. In either case, the court will decide based on the rules of the Women's Charter. It will ensure a fair and equitable division of marital assets and make decisions in the children's best interest. A contested divorce can typically last anywhere from 1 year to about 2 years. This depends on many things, including the following: the complexity of issues, the level of cooperation between the parties, as well as the number of rounds of appeals. The legal process involves gathering evidence known as discovery, questioning witnesses, and preparing court documents. Lawyers will also have to attend multiple court hearings on behalf of their clients, and without cooperation, every issue may have to be settled through formal applications, which then lengthens the process and increases legal fees. One of the significant concerns in contested divorces is the impact on children. Court battles can place children in very difficult positions as they become involved in their parents' disputes. If there are children under 21, divorcing parents are required to attend the Mandatory Parenting Program, or MPP. This program is run by the Ministry of Social and Family Development, or MSF, and it aims to help parents focus on the well-being of their children and make decisions that serve the family's best interest. After completing the MPP, parents then receive a certificate which must be submitted when filing for divorce or responding to a divorce counterclaim. Thinking about filing for a divorce in Singapore? Here's what you need to know before you take the first step. In a divorce, the spouse initiating the process is known as the plaintiff, and the other is the defendant. To file for divorce in Singapore, one of two conditions must be met. Number one, residency. Either the plaintiff or defendant must treat Singapore as their permanent home or have lived here for at least 3 years. Number two, marriage duration. Couples must be married for at least 3 years. However, in cases of extreme hardship or unreasonable behavior, you may file earlier. Who qualifies? Singapore citizens or permanent residents married for at least 3 years can apply. Foreigners, such as employment pass holders, may also qualify if they meet the residency requirement. It's a straightforward process, but ensuring eligibility is key to moving forward. Did you know that proving adultery in Singapore isn't quite as simple as you might think? Here's what you might need to know before filing for divorce on these grounds. In Singapore, adultery refers specifically to sexual intercourse with someone other than your spouse. While it's not a crime, proving adultery can be tough unless your spouse admits to it. Verbal confessions can be easily denied, so solid evidence is key. Some people even hire private investigators for video footage, photos, or other incriminating messages. If adultery is suspected to have resulted in a child, a DNA test may help, but that's also complicated, costly, and not always foolproof in court. If you find out about your spouse's affair, you must file for a divorce within 6 months of discovering it. If you continue living with your spouse beyond that time, you'll need to pursue other grounds for divorce, such as unreasonable behavior. Seeking legal advice before taking these steps can save you time, money, and emotional strain. Wondering what qualifies as a valid reason for divorce in Singapore? Here's a breakdown of the key legal grounds. In Singapore, the only ground for divorce is proving that the marriage has irretrievably broken down. To convince the court, the plaintiff, which is the spouse filing for divorce, must provide evidence for at least one of the following reasons. Number 1. Adultery. Prove that your spouse committed adultery and living together is intolerable. Number 2. Unreasonable behavior. Show that your spouse's behavior makes it unreasonable to continue living together. Number 3. Separation with consent. If you've been living apart for 3 years and both agree to divorce. Number 4. Separation without consent. If you've lived apart for 4 years, no consent is needed. Number 5. Desertion. Prove that your spouse deserted you for at least 2 years. Number 6. Mutual agreement. Couples can now mutually end their marriage without assigning blame, making the process smoother and less contentious. While some grounds require proof of fault, others, such as separation and mutual agreement, offer a more amicable route. Courts won't force reconciliation. If the breakdown is proven, they focus only on ensuring a fair and respectful dissolution.